So today we're picking and preserving apples. We have a family member that lets us come and pick apples off their trees. They have several trees, and so we got lots of apples today. And the first thing we're going to be making is applesauce. So I've got my apple peeler here. This one actually peels, cores, and slices, and I will put a link to that down below. It slices it into really thin little slices, and so that makes it great for applesauce and apple butter. So I'm just going to cook this down in a little bit of water for my applesauce, and then I'll add sugar and maybe a little bit of cinnamon as needed. And then I also put a whole bunch of these in my crock pot and let that cook overnight and cook down for apple butter with some brown sugar and a bunch of seasonings. And then I blend it up in the morning and can it, so you can see the apples are cooking down there. And these are the jars of applesauce I got. I left the applesauce a little bit chunky. And then this is the next day, and we are actually just preserving the apples as slices today. So I found a really good tutorial online about how to do this, and I will also put that in the link down below. But you basically just cook these apples for just about 5 minutes in a sugar water solution, and then you're going to can them up in your water bath canner. And so that's what we're doing here. And we were able to do, I think, about 4 or so batches of these, and it worked out really good. If you get a nice system going with it and you have a couple people helping, it flows pretty good and makes it a little bit easier to do. And so I'm just going to be pulling the ones that are done out of my canner here and putting them on the counter to cool down. So this is another batch that's just getting ready to go into the canner. I'm wiping the rims of the jars off, and then we're going to put the lids on, and we're going to put them in the canner for about 20 minutes or so. So today we mostly just did the canned apples, and then we did a little bit of apple butter and apple sauce the day before. And this will take me probably a week or two to really go through all these apples and get it done. I'll probably do several more batches of applesauce and apple butter, and then we're going to use some of the scraps to make some apple cider vinegar, because we hope to give that to the animals with some of their feed, especially over the winter and stuff. And then these are just some extra scraps that we're just feeding to the pigs and the chickens, and they're going to love that so much. So as we're getting ready to do another round of the canned apples, I wanted to show you that I actually took off the corer and slicer part of the apple peeler. That way we could just hand cut these into bigger slices so they wouldn't fall apart when we can them, because the way the slicer, it only slices one thickness, and so that would just make them too thin for the canned apples, and so that's why I did it this way. Then we can just kind of cut it up how we want them, and then we put it in this bowl that's got some water and some citric acid in it, and that will just help prevent them from turning brown. You can also use lemon juice in there. So we'll just let them set while we're getting all of them cut up, and then we'll take them over and do the canning. So we'll put these jars of canned apples in our pantry, and we'll pull them out throughout the winter to make fried apples. Is one of our favorite things that we like to make. We like to mix it with butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon, and just heat it up in a skillet and have those as a side with our suppers. And this is another part of the canning process. I had made up my sugar water solution. It's got a really light syrup to it, so it's about 1 1/4 cup of sugar with about 10 cups of water, and then you mix in your apples, and then like I said, you just cook them for about 5 minutes, and then you're going to put them in your jars, and you're going to can them for about 20 or so minutes. And I found that it worked really well, and just made it easy to put these apples up. You can also freeze apples. You can put them in a lemon juice solution for a little while and then dry them off, and you can put them in freezer bags in the freezer. Also, you can make up apple pies and apple crisp and put them in the freezer unbaked. But here's our jars of apples all finished and ready to go in the pantry. So we were excited with how they turned out. And then Harmony also made an apple pie, so I thought it looked really pretty.